This is my story in 17 minutes.
17.
This is my story in 17.
And they would say, wait.
Oh, wait a minute. It's 7? Oh, okay. My name is Shawn Tomes, and this is my story in 7. I was born in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. My dad was stationed there in the Air Force. I was born to 2 very young parents. My mom didn't finish high school. My dad graduated and immediately went into the Air Force, and my mom came down and had me there where he was stationed, Eglin Air Force Base. And my mom and dad both believed in God. They came from 2 rural, poor families, but families that believed in God. My parents were just young, and so God wasn't the center of their marriage or their lives, and so we struggled a lot, and struggled financially, struggled emotionally, mentally, and most of all spiritually. And because of that, just lots of issues. We moved around a lot. I actually graduated from Kentucky Wesleyan College, and so I had moved right at 20 times when I got to college here. But the place that I found my identity, and the place that I found some peace in my life growing up was in that identity, and peace came through athletics and playing different sports. There was nothing to worry about when you were playing those things. And also in my artwork that I did in art class, and then with my grandmother. There was such a peace and a love when I was around my grandmother. I know now that was God, the Jesus in her. And so growing up, if I was at my grandmother's house, or if I was playing sports, that was a safe place. And so I tried to be a good little kid. I know my mom and dad did the best that they could under their circumstances, but when God's not the center of your lives, things are off, and so we were off. But I went to church with my grandmother when I was with her. And when I was 13 years old, I went with my grandmother to a revival during the summer at a little rural Baptist church out in the middle of nowhere. And I heard the gospel, and I also heard that regardless of how good I was, I would never be good enough. And so the second night of that revival, I knew, after talking to my grandmother, that I needed to ask Jesus to forgive me of my sins. And so when I was 13, I professed the faith in Jesus Christ, felt saved, felt different. But from 13 until 23 years old, I really didn't have a mentor or anyone to disciple me. And so I kind of felt like I walked alone with this new relationship, this new faith. Read my Bible, tried to do good. Still, my identity was in athletics, and so I didn't feel like I could afford to go to college, but I felt like if I wanted my life to be different, I also felt like led to do that. I couldn't afford it, but I also heard constantly, and I know now that was from God, is that I couldn't afford not to go to college. And I know why now, is because what He had in store for me in that season of my life. So I came to Kentucky Wesleyan College with my identity in art and basketball and football. And so this was a school that was going to give me art scholarship, football dollars, and a chance to walk on the basketball team and earn a scholarship there. My freshman year was difficult. My family, my mom and dad finally divorced, and I had to be a part of that process, and then realized, I really don't feel like I have a place to go to after that. And then I got hurt at the end of my football season and didn't get to play basketball, and ended up that was actually the end of me getting to play sports. And so I had an identity crisis during my sophomore year, not having those groups to belong to. And then God brought a young lady into my life during my junior year as a friend and a partner on projects. We met her in Art for Elementary Teachers, and she became friend, study partner, then my girlfriend, then a girlfriend for 6 months, engaged for 6 months, and then a year later married. And 30 years later, she's what God used to change my life, and found my soulmate, and also found a church family and a faith that was transformational. At 13, Jesus became Savior of my life. At 23, he became Lord of my life. And so I surrendered, and then God has started there with an amazing journey of saying, God, use me. I'll do anything you want me to do. And that started with youth ministry. Then it led to teaching art, and then a master's degree in counseling, and then a faith-funded ministry, sports ministry, and then to Kentucky Wesleyan College. And that journey has been amazing and filled with joy and peace and blessing that is beyond description. I wouldn't trade my life with anyone in the world. Growing up, I felt like I was always the most unlikely or less than, and until I surrendered everything to God. And then his faithfulness, his provision, his goodness never ceases to amaze me. And I can't even begin to tell you that if I were given the opportunity to write my story, it would not have been anything like the story that God has given me. And so that's my story in 7.